I said, take that off of social media. I said, let this family mourn in peace. But they were continuing, was taunting my son, telling him telling him that they were going to kill the family, that they were going to make his mama cry, like my son made his mother cry. And I told my son, don't respond. But their family member came to rob my son. They were even texting, telling the other ops what he got on, what color car he's driving, and down the way down to his 30-day tag.
San Antonio police did not press charges against Darrell Gentry or his girlfriend, who shot a man trying to rob them at his apartment in February. He told hip-hop blogger DJ Vlad about the run-in last week.
He was just straight soft, like weak.
Gentry says he refused to take the robber, another rapper's uncle, to the hospital. He says he slept well the next day and posted pictures from that crime scene just hours before his own.
I mean, are you at all concerned that his people are going to try to come back?
Yeah, they for sure might do what they do. But I'm going to get active. That's all it is. And it is what it is.
4 days after that clip went online, Houston police say a group of men pulled alongside the rapper's car and killed him.
My son knew something was up. That's why he was trying to leave. When my son pulled out, he was headed to the airport to come to me because I told him to get the people out of there. Leave right now. Don't take no clothes. Don't take nothing. Just leave. And he was leaving. And that's when but he never made it to the airport because they him.
Take a look at this video surveillance from a neighbor. You can see a white Mercedes followed by a black Subaru SUV heading northbound on mid-lane in broad daylight. Police say the victim was driving the Mercedes and two suspects were inside the SUV.
40-year-old Montrell Burley turned himself into police this morning. Tonight, at least one other suspect is still on the run.
February 3rd, 2023. A rapper by the name of Darrell Gentry, also known as BTB Savage, made a decision that would ultimately set off a string of events that culminated at his gruesome homicide. The rapper was contacted by another artist for a feature on his song, and BTB Savage agreed. They have been in communication to do music on previous conversations, so this time BTB Savage agreed to collaborate on the song.
Shit, they was always hitting me up to do music and like that. So I was like, all right, bet.
On that Friday, February 3rd, the rapper requesting the feature wanted to come over with the money for the feature to record the song at BTB Savage's home so they could also begin promo. It was late at night, between 10 and 11 p.m., so BTB Savage was a bit skeptical to conduct business so late at his residence.
But one day, it was late, I was like, they was gonna pay for the feature or whatever. We gonna do the song, and then they gotta do the promo with it. I was gonna do it at first. I wasn't gonna do it at first, because it was so late. It was like damn near 10, 11.
BTB Savage was with his girlfriend at the time and asked her opinion if he should allow them to come over and record the song at such a late hour, or wait until the following day to go to an official studio and get it done.
When I was talking to the girl I was with at the time, I'm like, shit, so I do this shit, I'll wait till tomorrow and just meet him at a real studio.
Ultimately, BTB Savage agreed, as he wanted to secure the funds sooner than later. In his mind, the artist would come over and they would complete the song in a timely manner. He would collect his payment and everyone would be on their way. But that would be far from the reality of what would occur.
And then, but I ain't gonna lie, I just wanted the bread. I'm like, all right, bet, they gonna pull up. I'm gonna grab the bread real quick, dip out, and then go back to my other crib with my cousin there.
BTB Savage, at the time, overlooked one very suspicious behavior by the artist requesting the feature. Every reason BTB Savage gave as to why coming over may not be the smoothest process, like not having studio equipment at where he stayed. The artist had a response to solve the issue, like stating that they had their own equipment that they could bring over. So the feature was given the green light. The artist would arrive to BTB Savage's location. The car had other persons inside, but it's nothing unnatural for an artist to have a crew or security along with him, so BTB Savage invited them inside to get the song done. Another red flag popped up when they entered inside the house. BTB Savage noticed the artist and his entourage were looking around when they got inside in a manner that was suspicious, but he thought nothing of it then.
And then they just talking and like looking around. That's why I figured it was kind of weird they looking around when they first walked in my crib, but more like that. But I just kind of didn't pay it no mind. I was just more of like, come on, let's get this out the way. I'm just gonna knock this out, 30 seconds out, rapping real quick, and now I'm done. I ain't tripping, so boom.
The next red flag would set BTB Savage's instincts off. The artist and his crew would take out a studio box and began taking out studio equipment. This was all a part of the plan to make it seem like a normal recording session. But then they pretended to realize that they forgot some of the equipment. This is where the artist's uncle told him to go back to the car and get the rest of the equipment.
They got down, started pulling out their equipment or whatever, or fake equipment. Like he pulled out a little box that it's a studio box, but like it got the mixer in it. It didn't have really shit in it. So then a dude, I guess the older dude, I didn't really know him like that. I don't know them like that. I didn't know him at all. So whenever he was talking to me, the dude I'm talking to for the feature or whatever, he talking to his uncle, like he like, oh, I ain't got this, I ain't got that. So his uncle said, go to the car and get more, like get the rest of the equipment or whatever.
At this point, BTB Savage thought of something that logically makes sense. If the artist was the one who came to do the feature, then why not send his uncle to the car for the equipment instead of him going back for it? Realizing something felt off, BTB Savage locked the door when the artist went back outside. So now everyone else is outside, and it's only the uncle and BTB Savage and his girlfriend inside the house.
So I'm thinking like, damn, why would you, it should be the opposite way. You tell him to go, cause we like the ones we locked in, we talked or whatever about the song, to do the song, and you gonna leave the random dude in my crib. So when he walked out, I was kind of nervous, so I locked the door, both locks.
It was time for the uncle to carry out the plan. He began trying to ease BTB Savage's suspicion by showing him the money they brought for the feature, and it worked in his favor. He then went on to start casually asking BTB Savage about his jewelry, and BTB Savage, thinking it was okay, answered and began showing him his chains. He made the mistake of looking down to his chain, and that's when the uncle brandished a firearm and announced the robbery.
While he talking, he asked him about my chain, and he like, how much, what jewelry you go to, blah, 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 how much you hit you for? And I'm telling him like, oh yeah, I dropped the bag and everything, And then right as I'm talking, I go down to look at my piece while he talking. I'm like, this one? I'm like, yeah, this one. While I'm looking down like that, that's when he upped the pole on me. And he like, oh yeah, run that.
BTB Savage was right where they wanted him. The uncle proceeded to threaten to shoot BTB Savage and his girlfriend if he didn't comply. BTB realized the position he was in. He complied.
And then he like, nah, well, I see you flexing on Instagram, all that shit. What that? Where is that? Like that. I was like, man, bro, all right, bro. I started taking off my chain first because he started asking about other shit, like, where is it? So I'm like, I'm giving what he want real quick.
When the uncle approached him to take the chain, that's when BTB Savage sprung into action, managing to wrap and lock the uncle's arm and tackle him to the ground.
So I took off my chain and he's standing at a distance. He's still at a distance, so I can't like move quick and jump. So when he come over, he reached for the chain and he took the gun off me. Right there, I hit him with like both of his arms under my armpit like this.
This provided an opportunity to turn the tables on his attacker, as the gun was released from the uncle's hand when he was pinned to the ground. BTB Savage began to fight for his life. He continued pinning down the uncle while signaling his girlfriend to take the gun and shoot their assailant. His girlfriend would also spring into action, grabbing the gun and nervously firing twice into the uncle's back, but that seemed to only leave him in a fight or flight mode for his life, leading him to pull out other firearms he had tucked away on him. His intent was to now take BTB Savage's girlfriend's life as he aimed the beam of the gun to her head.
I swing my hip under him like that to put him on top of me, all the way on top of me. And then she'd pop him in the back twice.
As she tried to escape, she would miss 2 shots fired in her direction, prompting BTB Savage to begin to wrestle. This is when BTB Savage made a startling revelation. His 4-year-old son was asleep in the room and tried his best to deter the assailants to leave.
Bro, what the you doing? My kid in that back room, fam, you tripping. I'm like, go ahead and get up out of here, bro. You already fired like 5 shots. It's hot. The police on the way. Whatever you trying to do gonna go bad for you. You're gonna go straight to prison. Like, go ahead and get the up out of here.
The uncle, not knowing when to quit, wasn't giving up on the plan and shouted to his cohorts outside to fire through the door since it was locked, prompting them to open fire, luckily not hitting anyone.
So while we on the ground tussling, he like, shoot through the door, shoot through the door. So then I hear like, boom, like as if they tried to kick the door. As they tried to kick the door or whatever, I'm like, I'm still on top of him. So I'm looking at her, I'm like, pass me the gun, pass me the gun. They're about to shoot through the door. Cause I was gonna lay down and he just turned around and start dumping through the door.
BTB Savage would yell to his girlfriend to finish off the uncle, but more shots were fired through the door, leaving her scared to approach. So the next best option was to fire back at the door, which she did twice. That seemed to scare the attackers from the outside away. Now with only the uncle left, BTB Savage signaled to his girlfriend to finish him off. But when she fired, it instead caught BTB Savage on the elbow, breaking his arm. BTB Savage would shift his body, giving her a clear shot, and she would again fire a bullet into the uncle.
My shit broken or whatever. She popped him again in the shoulder or the chest, I think. I don't know where it hit him.
Still, he was adamant in taking out the family and continued crawling to the gun on the floor. BTB Savage would catch him as his hands was on the trigger and fired off all the bullets from the gun. The uncle, realizing he was out of options, then tried to apologize and beg for his life, but BTB Savage left him on the floor and instead protected his family, taking them away from the house and to the hospital to treat his arm. The uncle would pass away, but luckily, BTB lived through the ordeal and was cleared of any charges as it was deemed he was acting in self-defense.
Gentry, along with his fiancée, were able to take down the robbers, allegedly killing one in self-defense.
BTB Savage lived to see another day, but what he did next would place him in harm's way yet again. BTB Savage detailed the chilling last moments of his attacker on a Vlad TV interview where he left him to die.
By the door, and then he crawled over by the side where my front door is. And it's like a little edgeway. He just lay right there. And then he like, while I walked by, he grabbed my foot. He like, come on, bro, take me with you, bro. I can make it to the hospital. I just need to go to the hospital. I went, nigga, you. Like, let me take you to the hospital, boy.
When asked if the rest of the assailants returned for retaliation, what would he do? BTB Savage responded with basically saying he'll take them out as well if they tried it, and went on to mock them by calling them broke.
They might do what they do, but I'm gonna get active. That's all it is. And it is what it is. It's on the floor. It'll be smoked forever.
BTB Savage appeared to make the decision that the incident would be good promo to push his career and capitalize off the hit to gain more exposure. In doing so, he taunted the fallen uncle and his assailants that escaped by posting pictures standing in the crime scene, smiling with the caption, "Too much motion," then releasing a song of the same name. His mother would try to deter him from mocking the family of the slain assailant, but BTB Savage continued while the family was continually promising to make his family and his mother cry.
I said, take that off of social media. I said, let this family mourn in peace. But they were was taunting my son.
March 26, 2023, a 40-year-old man by the name of Montrell Burley rented a black Subaru Outback with Florida license plates from an Avis in San Antonio. At that point, no one knew the plan which he was plotting in his mind to take the life of the rapper BTB Savage. But in the coming days, it would become apparent when the world learned of his demise. March 29th, 26 hours before BTB Savage would lose his life, the Subaru was picked up on a license plate reader traveling eastbound along I-10 in the Fayette County area. A couple of hours later, around 7 p.m., the night before the shooting, investigators believe the plates on the Subaru were swapped with plates from a stolen Kia out of Harris County, which was scanned again on the Subaru at least 10 minutes after the shooting. According to documents, The Florida license plate were then put back on the Subaru and picked up about an hour and 40 minutes after the shooting while traveling westbound on I-10. For about 4 hours the night before and for about 4 hours during the day leading up to the shooting, Burley's cell phone data pinged in the area of BTB Savage's apartment in the 2000 block of West Creek Lane. March 30th, the day he would lose his life, Darrell Gentry, also known as BTB Savage, would call his mother in fear for his life, saying persons were trying to set him up. From his demeanor, it appeared he was in the presence of the person he feared was setting him up.
But it was on March 30th when Ward says her son called her predicting his at a restaurant with people she believes were part of the plot to kill him.
He said, "Mom, I'm going to talk to you regular, but read your text messages."
When Gentry got up from the table and went to the bathroom, he told his mom this.
And I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "I think they're trying to set me." I'm sorry. He said, "I think they're trying to set me up."
His suspicion turned out to be right. Surveillance footage shows the black Subaru rented by Burley following BTB Savage's white SUV moments before he was attacked.
Take a look at this video surveillance from a neighbor. You can see a white Mercedes followed by a black Subaru SUV heading northbound on mid-lane in broad daylight. Police say the victim was driving the Mercedes and two suspects were inside the SUV.
At around 6 p.m., just about 1 hour after BTB Savage had posted the picture of him standing in the crime scene, his car was sprayed with bullets, costing him his life in the process. He was on the way to the airport to fly to his mother.
He knew someone was after him in retaliation. Someone was tracking him. He just didn't get out of town, she says, in time.
My son knew something was up. That's why he was trying to leave. When my son pulled out, he was headed to the airport to come to me because I told him, "Get the hell out of there. Leave right now. Don't take no clothes. Don't take nothing. Just leave." You know? And he was leaving. And that's when but he never made it to the airport because they killed him.
Not only that, but after they killed him, they burglarized his home. A truly heartless act.
His white Mercedes was riddled with bullets and his home burglarized.
Using surveillance video and cell phone data, police obtained a search warrant for the SUV the following day, March 31st, and New Braunfels police stopped Burley and his fiancée shortly after leaving their home in the vehicle that morning. A subsequent search of the vehicle revealed a shell casing that was similar to those found at the scene of the shooting. And according to documents, the phones of Burley and his fiancée also were seized. He was arrested for possession of a controlled substance, but when questioned about the hit, Burley ended the interview and requested an attorney.
Now, we also know from court documents that Burley was stopped in the suspect vehicle the day after the murder. He was arrested for possession.
Reports state that since authorities only had reasonable suspicion and not probable cause, they couldn't hold Burley beyond 72 hours and until charges are filed. The warrant came a week later after cell phone data was reviewed. Hearing of the warrant for arrest, Burley turned himself in.
4 days after Montrell Burley became a wanted man, the 40-year-old walked into this building early Tuesday and surrendered. He's accused of murdering Darrell Gentry, known as rapper BTB Savage, in the middle of this River Oaks area street on March 30th. Rental car records, license plate readers, and cell phone data connected him to the shooting.
Prosecutors are attempting to get bail denied as Burley was already a felon, and authorities are also looking for one other suspect who was in the vehicle when BTB Savage lost his life. Fans of BTB Savage would point out that before BTB Savage was even revealed as the person in the homicide, a rapper by the name of BJ Goddamn posted and deleted to his IG mocking BTB Savage's demise, and his attire also matched suspect descriptions. This left many speculating he might have had a hand in the homicide. Information would also turn up alleging that the hit is being looked at as a potential retaliation of the murdered robber at BTB Savage's apartment, who was identified as Omar Richardson. According to the documents, Burley is a known and documented gang member who was friends with Richardson. Burley also released a music video titled Pain is Love, dedicated to his fallen friend, Omar Stu Wop Richardson. After BTB Savage's passing, Omar Richardson's alleged family celebrated and laughed at his passing. BTB Savage was an honor student and also spent 4 years in the military. It's sad to see the path his life ultimately took after having such a bright future. Rest in peace, BTB Savage.